Okay. Welcome to South Hills. My name is Adam, and this is my wife,
Gretchen.
We are the campus pastors here at our South Hills Corona campus. We are so glad that you decided to join us, but we also realize that not everybody goes to church every single week. This may be your first time at this church or at this type of church, and so we just wanted to begin by giving you a little bit of what to expect from your experience here at South Hills.
As you walk onto the campus, you'll probably notice there's a station that has donut holes and coffee and water and tea, and you might be wondering, who is this for? It is for you, and it's all free.
The coffee is delicious, and we taste tested the donuts.
We did.
We took it very seriously. We went to like all the donut places. These are the best ones.
And if you brought a child with you today, I highly encourage you to check out the children's ministry. It is so fun. Each classroom has crafts and games and worship and teaching.
But then they break down into these smaller groups where they get to talk and be listened to and cared for by an adult who knows their name and is interested in their story. Once you've grabbed your coffee and donuts and checked your kids in, you'll move into the auditorium and you can sit wherever you want to. There are no assigned seats here.
We also have the full service live streaming in real time that you can watch from the cafe, from the lobby, or even the parents' room that's right off the lobby.
We'll begin our service with a time of worship, which is a churchy way of saying we're going to sing songs together about who God is and his love for us. And we want to encourage you to stand and clap and participate.
And you don't have to have all the words memorized. We will have them all on the screen for you to follow along.
One thing you'll notice about our band is that they're very passionate and energetic, which means they can sometimes get kind of loud. And so if it's a little bit too much for you, there are earplugs in the lobby available upon request. Then we're going to give everybody an opportunity to give with us. We may even tell you some stories about how your giving is impacting our community and rippling out and even transforming the world at large.
Then we're going to share with you some events and activities coming up right around the corner, but you don't even have to wait for that. You could jump on the Church Center app and check it out for yourself.
Then someone will be out to share a message from the Bible in a way that is hopefully interesting and relevant to whatever you're going through right now.
And I encourage you to get something out to take notes, whether it's the note sheet provided for you or the notes app in your phone. There's going to be something that stands out to you today that you're going to want to remember. And although we take scripture very seriously, we don't take ourselves that seriously. So if something strikes you as funny, feel free to laugh along and enjoy yourself.
At the end of the message, we will have a brief time of prayer, and we hope that it ends up being an hour that is exciting and fun and interesting and inspiring, and that it's something that after you leave, you look forward to coming back and experiencing with us again. If you have any questions about anything during your time here, drop by the big Connect counter sign in the lobby, and there's someone there that can answer any question that you might have.
Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed the service.
The rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. How many believe that this morning? Oh, he won't. Come on, with every voice. And I still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I built my life on Jesus. 'Cause he's never let me down. He's faithful in every season. So why would he fail now? He won't. Yeah. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't. He won't. God, you'll never fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. Christ is my firm foundation. Come on, with every voice. The rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. God, you'll never fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. God, you'll never fail. Oh, you've never failed, and you won't start now. We lift a name. Come on, sing this part with us. Rain came and wind blew. My house was built on. How many believe that this morning? And I'm safe with you, and I'm gonna make it through. And rain came and wind blew. My house was built on you.
constant grace remains my cornerstone. Things that we thought were dead are breathing in life again. You cause your sun to shine on the darkest nights. For all that you've done, we will pour out your love. This will be our anthem song. Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one
Would you just stay standing for just a moment and just close your eyes with me? God, we are grateful for your presence in this place. God, we have gone through so many different things this week. We have so much weight weighing down on us, so many obligations, so many different things that are sort of pulling us in different directions. And we need, at a soul level, these weekly resets to remind us that you love us, that you are good, that you are with us, that you are for us, that we can come to you and you reset our hearts and our minds. You pull us back to what actually matters as opposed to all of the distractions that we get caught up in. God, I pray that over these next few moments, as we spend this time together, as we spend this time with you, that you would remind us that you are everything that we need, that when we lean on you, when we count on you, when we put our faith and trust in you, everything else gets taken care of because you lead us in the way we need to go. And God, we just are grateful that we can have peace today, that we can take a deep breath in you and just be. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Everybody said, amen, amen. You guys can have a seat. If I haven't met you, my name is Adam, and I'm the campus pastor here on our Corona campus. And I'm glad that you were here this week. I don't know if you guys remember, but last week was Easter, which is kind of a big deal. It was huge for us. How many of you actually, you were here at one of our services this Easter over the weekend? We had 6 different services over the course of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we saw over 2,600 people come and worship with us over the weekend just on our campus, which is incredible. And what is even more powerful than that to me is that there were about 70 people who said yes to Jesus for the first time. And we just think that's the greatest thing ever. That's something to clap about, yeah. People making a decision to follow and trust in Jesus, and that's what we believe transforms everything. And man, we were just so overwhelmed as a staff by the response, but also grateful for so many of you who stepped up and volunteered. We had hundreds of volunteers that served, from kids to tech to worship, ushers, greeters, parking lot, and we couldn't have done it without you. And so can we give all of our volunteers just a huge round of applause? So grateful for you and everything that you do. Some of these folks serve double and triple, which is incredible. And some of them serve double and triple with your kids. So you ought to be grateful. Because some of you were like, I think I'm going to come to Sue services just to avoid my children. And that's not really what it's for. Okay, but you did take advantage, and that's fine. But it's because of the volunteers that you're able to leave them and trust that they're in good hands. And one of the things I want to challenge you to today, if you are you consider this your church home, I want to invite you to give with us this morning. And so we're going to have our ushers come forward. And there's a few different ways to give. One is through passing. They're going to pass these buckets. So if you want to give through cash, check, you have a gold bar on you. You just want to throw in there. That's fine. All that's acceptable. You can also give online and through the Church Center app, which is probably my favorite way. But one of the things we believe is that church isn't something that just a few paid professionals do for everybody else. It's something that we all do for each other by serving and giving and investing in the place that God has used to change our life. And so if you're new with us today, you're just checking things out, you can just tune me out for the next few moments. But for those of you that are part of our church family, we believe that it is our responsibility to take care of and allow God to meet the needs of this church through our faithfulness here. And one of the things I like to do every month is just give you a picture of where we're at as a church with our budget. And so this is a graph of sort of what it looks like. Our budget to really do everything we've planned to do do in the fiscal year, which starts at the beginning of July and goes through the end of June. So we've got about 10 weeks left to bring in $1.4 million. And we're at about the 1.158 mark right now, which is incredible. First and foremost, it's because of your consistency and faithfulness that we're at that place. We are a little, slightly behind where we'd prefer to be, about $8,000 if you just divide it evenly over the 52 weeks. But we've got 10 weeks left. And I just want to encourage you to lean in over these next 10 weeks and help us close our budget strong. I think it is a privilege to get to honor a God by being faithful with what he's given us, by giving back to our spiritual community, to see God do in other people what he's done in us. And it is a privilege to get to do that. And I want to challenge you over these next 10 weeks to do what you can to help us close the budget strong so that we can enter into our new fiscal year with new vision and be able to go after everything God has challenged us to do. I really believe we're just getting started, and God is growing our church. And that means as he grows our numbers, he's got to grow our generosity as well so that we can care for the people that he sent us, because that's what it's all about. So thank you for your ongoing giving. And before we move into the rest of our service, check this out.
Hi, my name is Brittany. Whether you're with us online or in person, we're glad that you chose to join us today. If you're new with us, we hope you feel welcome, and there's just one thing we want to ask of you today. To fill out a Connect card that asks for 3 simple pieces of information. You can find these blue teal cards in the backseat chair in front of you. Your card can be turned in after service at the Connect counter in the lobby for a Starbucks gift card. And if you're new and watching online, click the link in our bio or in the chat to fill out your Connect card from there. Valor, our women's event, is on Saturday, May 3rd at 5 p.m. Our hope is that you would come and be refreshed and filled up. We'll have a pasta bar, desserts, drinks, amazing worship, a discussion panel, and so much more. I want to encourage you to invite all the women in your life to join you. Friends, family, co-workers, and neighbors for this incredible night together. There's just a couple days left to get your tickets. On Mother's Day, May 11th, we'll also have child dedications. This is where you as a parent make a commitment with your church family to raise your kids in the ways of Christ. If you're interested in participating in this, please register on the Church Center app to get all the info. The Church Center app is the best way to stay connected at South Hills. You can use the Church Center app to give, join a small group, or even check in your kids on a Sunday. You can stop by the Connect counter in the lobby for details on how to download and use the Church Center app. In just a moment, Pastor Adam will be out to kick off our new series, Savage.
We all have a picture of Jesus in our head. Maybe yours looks something like this, or this, or this. But he also did stuff like this, and this, and this. He wasn't always meek and mild. Sometimes he came across as flat out savage.
This is a sudden ending right there. Whew. It pulls you in and it just leaves you. Well, so excited to jumpstart this series. I've been looking forward to it for a while. And essentially what we're going to do during this series is peel apart all of these moments, stories, and statements by Jesus that just seem a little out there. There are probably some things we're going to cover here that when you've sort of confessed to somebody that you're a Christian or that you believe in Jesus or that it's been meaningful to you, these are maybe some of the things they bring up and are like, yeah, but didn't he do that one thing? That was kind of weird. And in your own mind, you're like, that was kind of weird. Like, what? Why did he do that? Like, what is going on there? And we hope to give some context and really wrestle with, like, what do these things mean then? And what do they mean for us now? And so I think you're going to love these next 5 weeks. And I think it's going to bring up a lot of interesting things. It's a great time to take notes and to lean in, but also to invite somebody to come join you during this series, because it's going to answer a lot of questions that they may have about Jesus. And so on all of your chairs, there are invite cards. Those are for you to take. And my encouragement to you is find one person this week that you can just say, like, listen, pick one of these weird weeks and come with me to get the answer to this question, because I think that it really is going to help people understand Jesus better. And so today, if you are taking notes, the title of my message is Watch Me Whip. Watch me whip. You'll get it eventually. It'll make sense as the message unfolds. My wife, Gretchen, and I, we have 3 kids. And when they were a bit younger, several years ago, I was driving 4 boys around, my 2 boys and a couple of their friends. And this is a picture of them back in the day before they hit puberty. And this is how adorable they were. And so they were in the back seat, and they had this little iPod that they were watching, like YouTube Kids on, and they were playing games on it, and they were passing it around, trying to share it between the 4 boys. And so it keeps getting yanked around, and finally it gets to this place where they're just like, it's my turn, and I want to do the thing, and I want to show you this, whatever. And they're going back and forth, and like it's just, the chaos is mounting behind me, and I can feel like an anger and annoyance building inside of myself. Anybody ever been here before? There's just insanity going on, and you got your own stuff going on in your head, and it's just getting overwhelming. You're feeling overstimulated, and I'm just like trying to calm them down, like, hey guys, like, it's to bring the volume down, like the half laugh that you're trying to mask your anger with, you know? Hey guys, and we don't do that. Hey, maybe bring it down, whatever. And then finally, they're full on yelling at each other. I can hear someone hitting someone in the back, and I have just had too much. It's just, I'm the only adult in the car, which is probably not a good idea, right? And I get to the boiling point, and I finally just snap, right? We get to this stoplight, and I'm just like, would you guys knock it off? Everybody just be quiet. You know what? Give it to me, right? And they're all just sort of stunned. And then, of course, the light turns green, and I have to go. And so I'm trying to, like, get it from them. Like, are you even a parent if your kids don't have this image of you at some point? You're just like, you're trying to grab somebody, a leg, an arm, something to just, let them know what's up. And finally, like, somebody puts the iPod in my hand. I'm like, oh, now nobody gets it. And I just, like, flung it in the passenger side, and it got real quiet in the car. And it was all awkward. And I hear Zeke, who's my youngest, turn to his friend and just say, sorry about that, guys. My dad's being a little immature today. And I was like, and immediately my response in my head was like, I'm not immature, you're immature. And I'm like, that actually is the most immature response I could have to this, just being called out by my own child. I was so upset, and I was most upset. He was right that I just full on melted down. And I'm guessing that maybe you have been there before. I don't think I'm alone in this, where you just sort of got pushed over the edge and you lost it, right? And not only are we, you and I, people that have moments of immaturity, we see it everywhere. There is so much anger that just floats around in our society. You don't have to look very far. Just get stuck in traffic. You look in the windows of the cars nearby, there's somebody cussing at somebody else, or cussing at somebody on the phone, or cussing at you, doing some fun sign language in your direction. You go on social media, and there are people that are just blowing up the comments section, just losing their minds, trying to, like, make a point and say what they're going to say. Like 2 blocks away, if you go to Santana Park for the soccer games on a Saturday, you will see some parents just, like, going crazy on a ref, right? Which is, it's like there's 6-year-olds playing, the ref is 14 years old, and you've got, like, a parent who's just like, I will murder your whole family, ref. And you're just like, calm down, right? I don't even know that your kid is aware where he's at. He's just chasing butterflies and running in circles. These parents are just going crazy. We see this kind of thing everywhere. And usually when these moments happen, what wells up within us is not admiration, right? It's usually not like, wow, that was a beautiful moment, That was incredible. You know what? That is the exact kind of person I want to be, right? No, it's usually we side with Zeke. We're just like, oh my goodness, you need to grow up, right? You need to get it together. This is a little bit embarrassing, mostly for you, but partially for us as well. Like, this is crazy. And I would say that even if you tend towards letting your anger get the best of you, I think that none of us want to be this unpredictable, rage-filled monster that everybody else has to tiptoe around. And at the same time, what are you supposed to do, right? Do you just never stick up for yourself? Do you never admit to what you're thinking and feeling? Do you suppress everything that you need and want out of life? Do you just let people take advantage of you and walk all over you? I mean, is that the point? Is that the goal? I mean, is the goal of Christianity to become like this dispassionate presence where just nothing bothers you? Where you don't react to anything and just sort of float through life, with this sort of steady, unfazed, Zen-like state? I think a lot of us, this is our idea of maybe what a Christian is supposed to be. And I think part of it is because of maybe who we think Jesus is or was. We all have some sort of a picture in our mind of the way we think of Jesus, and it came from somewhere. And for some of us, we picture Jesus as very meek and mild, right? Maybe the image you have is this picture that was, I feel like, in every church in grandma's house when I was growing up, and it was of Jesus, holding a tiny lamb and looking at it tenderly, and his beautiful strawberry blonde hair just sort of flowing down over his unblemished robe as he just looked at the little lamb, and the sun set beautifully behind him. And this is a picture of Jesus, and some of these things are true, but this isn't entirely true. This isn't a holistic picture of who Jesus is. So what is he really like? The truth of the matter is, Jesus was often a calming presence, but he was anything but dispassionate. Jesus cared deeply about a lot of things, and it was easy to see that when you spent any amount of time with him. There were moments where he confronted and debated people quite aggressively. There were moments where he wept uncontrollably and tore his clothes in disappointment, frustration, and anger. There were moments where he sarcastically barbed and cursed at people. And there are moments where he raised his voice in anger and he flipped tables and he causes a big scene. And maybe some of you, when you hear that, first of all, you're like, I'm going to need to see the references because that does not sound like the Jesus I know. And maybe others of you are like, if that is true, how is this any different than the weird stuff you see on social media rolls of just people losing it in everyday life? I mean, is that actually the message here? That Jesus is just as unhinged as you are? And, we're all going to have these moments in life where we just freak out and we lose control and we probably do stuff that we regret and should get arrested for, right? It's just the way life is, man. I don't think that is the message here. But to really get there, I think we have to unpack some of these moments where Jesus expresses his anger. And I think the best way to do that is to unpack, I think, the most infamous example of Jesus' anger in the Gospels. And it's this moment where he does flip tables and where he does yell, where he does seem unhinged. But is he? And we're going to find out together next week. Let's close in prayer. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to read this together. This is the beginning of the story, John chapter 2, verse 13. And this is sort of the setup or the context. It says that it was nearly time for the Jewish Passover celebration, and so Jesus went to Jerusalem. Now, the Passover is this religious tradition, this festival that takes place every year, and it commemorates the Jewish people experiencing freedom from slavery from the Egyptians, where God led them out. And so they would all travel to Jerusalem from all around. Every good Jew would participate in this, take time off of work, make it a priority, and they would make animal sacrifices to make themselves right with God, among other things, when they were there. And these were burnt offerings, right? Which meant the entire city smelt of delicious barbecues, right? Which is incredibly holy, right? I mean, that's all I can think of. Finger-licking holy. And so when you got to the city, you would get to the base of the Temple Mountain. You can kind of see it in this picture here. And you would undergo this ritual washing. You would put on a white robe, and then you would begin singing your way up the side of this mountain towards the entrance of the temple. And you would sing these songs of ascension that are still around today. They're in the middle of the Psalms. These songs where they would sing as they would ascend to the temple, and also as they would raise their voices and lift up praises to God. And so Jesus is doing all of this because Jesus grew up Jewish. This is a part of his tradition. And when he gets to the very top of the mountain and he gets to the outer courts of the temple, this is what he sees and experiences. John chapter 2, verse 14 says, he saw merchants selling cattle, sheep, and doves for sacrifices, and dealers at tables exchanging money. Now, this is the part where we're normally like, ooh, these are the bad guys. But I got to tell you out the gate, like what they're doing, these people in this moment, in and of itself is not bad. They are providing a service that is needed. Because the truth of the matter is, in this context, you have to make a sacrifice for all different sorts of things, to make a vow, to cleanse yourself of sin, to pray for certain things. But you had to provide your own animal for the sacrifice. Like they weren't complimentary. You didn't just show up and they showed you like an animal pen and you just picked the one you wanted to and went in. You had to actually bring your own sacrificial animal. And it couldn't just be any animal because there were rules. Because if there's one thing that the Jews are great at, it is making rules about everything. And they had so many rules around this. Leviticus chapter 22, verses 21, starting in verse 21, these are some of the rules. It says this: if you present a peace offering to the Lord, it may have no defect of any kind. It must not be blind, crippled, or injured, or have a wart, skin sore, or scabs. If a bull or a lamb has a leg that is too long or too short, it may not be offered to fulfill a vow. If an animal has damaged testicles or is castrated, you may not offer it to the Lord at all. Some of you are like, this is wildly specific. Wow, they're really getting into it. Maybe it's just me. I have never really taken that close a look at animals. I have my own pets, and I've never been like, let's see how long these legs are compared to each other. I've never tried to measure that, right? I've never just been like, you know what? Let's take a quick look at those testicles. Just make sure that this animal is 100%, okay? Because I'm not taking this cat off your hand if there's something wrong with it. And like, that's the way this entire system sort of worked. And it sounds bizarre to us, but the principle here was you had to sacrifice something pure to cover over your impurities. You had to offer something that was perfect to make up for your imperfections. But what if you didn't have an animal like that? Right? Like what if you didn't have access to anything like that? What if like you were traveling and you were like, oh, I picked out the best one, and then halfway there like a coyote, like attacked it, and now it's like it's got a weird shoulder, you know what I mean? Or maybe like one of your kids was like, I'm gonna ride it, but he's like a little chubby and it broke its hoof, And you're like, now we can't use it? What are we going to do at this point, right? I don't know. There's all sorts of things that could happen. Maybe you get there and realize that your animal has a lazy eye or like a weird hoof fungus or a light cough. And they're just like, and you're like, we can't use it. Is that a wart? You would be out of luck, right? You would have to then find one. And most likely you're going to have to buy one. But the good news is that there were vendors that were set up right around the temple that would sell you whatever you needed. But before you could buy what you needed, especially if you're coming from a long way off, you would have to exchange your currency for the currency that was used in and around the temple. And you have to do the same thing today if you travel to a foreign country or a Chuck E. Cheese, right? It's the same principle. You've been to Chuck E. Cheese, right? You go in and you're like, I would like to play some games. They're like, you're going to need some cheese coins, my friend. Like, cheese coins? You're like, yes, little coins with a rat on the front. That's what you're going to need, or none of the skee ball machines will work. And so you got to feed your dollars in there, and you got to get out the tokens so that you can actually do the things you came to Chuck E. Cheese to do. And that's basically what's happening here. And I'm sure most ancient Jews would be offended by that illustration, but it is accurate. And here's what's interesting to me. Jesus is not a stranger to this, right? He grew up in this system. And so he made this trek every single year Jesus is in his early 30s now. He's seen this every year since he's been alive. Every year they did the same thing, and every year there were people there that were providing or selling animals that people needed. In fact, there's a good chance that at some point in his childhood, his parents may have bought a sacrificial animal from these exact people, or maybe their parents, or somebody who owned the business before them. And yet this time when he gets there, what he sees and experiences is different in some sort of way that sets him off. And this is what happens as a result. John 2, verse 15 says this: Jesus made a whip from some ropes. Some of you are like, I get the title. It's from some ropes, and chased them all out of the temple. He drove out the sheep and cattle, scattered the money changers, coins all over the floor, and turned over their tables. And then he told them, get out of here. I wonder, like, when you were a kid, did you ever have a moment where you pushed your parents a little too far and they snapped, and so they just grabbed whatever was handy to swat you with? Anybody grow up in one of these homes? Like, this was the environment that I grew up in. Like, in the 80s and 90s, like, you could just beat your kids and it was fine. Nobody cared. So your parents would be like, that's it! And they would just grab like a wooden spoon or a fly swatter or a flip-flop, right? And just come after you. Which is why if you're going to be sassy, you wanted to pay attention to the environment, okay? You're like, maybe keep this opinion to myself while dad's ironing, okay? This could go tragically wrong, right? Don't mess with mom while she's grating cheese. You don't want to be on the business end of a cheese grater. And it sort of seems like maybe that's what's happening here, but that's not completely accurate, because if you pay attention to what the text is saying, and not just in this translation, in virtually every translation, it makes this distinction. It doesn't say he grabbed a whip, it says he made a whip. In other words, the raw materials were there, but he had to put it together. Now, I'm not an expert in whip making. Some of you are like, that is exactly the kind of person I thought you were. Not really, but I would imagine that it involves a fair amount of weaving and braiding and so on. And so the image I have of this moment, as the scriptures lay it out, is that Jesus sees this thing unfold and he's overwhelmed with anger, and he's like, I am so angry. You guys are in trouble. As soon as I finish making this artisanal organic leather whip. And then he starts weaving it, you know, and they're just like waiting for him. He's like, oh, I'm really mad. Tying it up. Can you help? This is more of like a two-person job. Oh, you're going to get it. Just a couple more times, because I like it to be a certain length. That's how I do it, right? And then I'm going to whip you, right? In other words, like, it took some time. And maybe this is not how you envisioned it. And I think the reason why it's important to point this out is that there is some lag time in this story between the moment that Jesus feels angry and the moment he takes action. And I would tell you, like, if you want to get a hold of your out-of-control anger, put some lag time between the moment you feel angry and the moment you take action. Because if you just pop off based on a feeling, you are most likely going to do something that you regret. You are going to become somebody that you don't like. Jesus, in this story, he has time to think. He has time to process what he is doing and is about to do. In other words, this was not a rash decision. He does this on purpose for a purpose. But at the same time, no matter how you slice it, he is angry. And maybe you're just thinking like, I don't think so. Not my Jesus. My Jesus wouldn't do that. My Jesus would say, no, thank you. And then he would place them in the corner to think about their decisions. And then maybe give them a snack. Because you get hungry when you're thinking about what you've done. But he didn't do that. And when you look at what he actually did, maybe there's a part of you that is just sort of rationally thinking like, is it okay what he did? I mean, isn't it bad? Like, isn't what he's doing wrong? Isn't acting out of anger in this way sinful? And it may even appear that way on the surface. And yet, we have lines like this all through the scriptures about Jesus, like this one in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 22. Jesus never sinned and never told a lie. So if what is going on here isn't wrong, what is it that we're looking at? And I think to really understand this, we have to back up and answer this first question. What is anger? Is anger bad, wrong, and sinful? And the truth of the matter is, anger isn't sin, it's an emotion. Right? You guys saw Inside Out. You know how it works. Anger is this reactive feeling that says something is wrong and needs to be set right. Anger is evidence that you have a sense of justice. It's proof that you actually care about things. In fact, the only reason that you and I have the capacity for anger is that we are made in the image of God, and sometimes God gets angry. So this is the big question, at least in my mind. Are you angry like God, or are you just angry? Because it's not all the same. And in fact, I think we all know people who are just like, oh, I'm angry like God. And like, you just picture God being like, that's on you, buddy. Like, I don't have anything to do with that. You're kind of melting down. That's all your own thing. Don't tag me in this post. One New Testament author says this, and this may surprise you. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. He says, be angry and do not sin. Did you know the Bible actually says, you know what? It's healthy for you to be angry at times. But when you do, don't sin. Like, if you never get angry about anything, there's probably something wrong with you. Because you have shut off one of your core emotions. Like, you don't have the ability to actually understand what frustrates or offends you. You haven't figured out how to set certain boundaries. You haven't figured out like what is right and wrong in your mind. It's not a good thing to be in a place where you never feel frustrated about anything, but how do you allow yourself to feel angry and not sin? And I would say that what motivates your anger and what you do with it determines whether or not it's righteous. What motivates your anger and what you do with it determines whether or not it's righteous. In other words, to be a Christian is to have the heart and mind of God, to be like becoming more like Christ each and every day. And that means getting angry about what angers God. And so if Jesus is the physical embodiment of God, if it's the best human iteration or picture of what God is like, then what makes Jesus angry? In this story, what made Jesus so angry that he like performs this massive scene in front of everyone? It just looks like he's losing it. I know some of you are thinking like, oh, I know the answer to this. Democrats, that's what it is. It's the Democrats. No, not that. Gay agenda. It's the gay agenda. It's rated R movies. Rated R movies. Cussing, tube tops, is that what it is? I don't know. I think God gets mad about cleavage. I don't know why, but it's something that really makes him mad. Secular music, dancing, it's dancing. He hates, oh, I know, non-King James Bibles. That is just boils his blood. Oh, I know what it is, food dyes. That's what it is. It just throws the Lord into a tizzy. And interestingly, it is not any of that. What makes Jesus mad in this story is merchants, and it's not even that they're selling things. Here's why Jesus is mad at these particular merchants. It's that they are creating obstacles for people searching for God. Because the truth of the matter is, nothing angers Jesus more than insiders making it hard for outsiders to come in. That's what's pushing his buttons in this scene. These merchants were in the temple's outer courts, also known as the court of the Gentiles. And a Gentile is basically anyone who's not Jewish, so all of us. It was where believers in God had the opportunity to talk to unbelievers about what it meant to believe. The only reason a Gentile would be in the court of the Gentiles was because they were curious but not yet convinced. It was because they were looking, seeking, searching. Except when Jesus gets there on this day, he realizes that the particular Jews who are set up in those outer courts are more interested in commercialism than evangelism. They don't really care about others getting to God. They care about themselves getting rich. And Jesus sees them overcharging for the animals, and he sees them taking a huge cut of every currency exchange. And it wasn't just the merchants, it was everyone involved. The priests were in on it. And Jesus can't stand by and just let it happen. It's sort of like when you're at a baseball game and you get hungry because you forgot to eat all day. And you're like, I'm going to go to the concession stand. And so you go to the concession stand and you're just like, I just want the basics, like nothing fancy. I just want a hot dog and a Diet Coke, okay? That's all I want, just a hot dog and a Diet Coke. And they're like, absolutely, that'll be $65. And you're like, what? But you can't go anywhere else, right? And there's no outside food or drinks. You're trapped. You have to be there. You have to spend this money. You know it's a ripoff, but you just do it anyway because what else are you going to do? And that's this situation, except these people are not overcharging for food. They're overcharging for God. And what is offensive to this for Jesus is that he genuinely believes that everybody ought to be able to have a safe place to come to God. That people ought to be able to ask questions and struggle with their faith for free. That it ought to be easy to sort of stumble their way into an environment and find people who genuinely care about them to help them move forward. But when these people arrive, instead of finding love and belonging and guidance in the temple, all they find is a bunch of religious people obsessed with trying to look good on the outside and have a little bit more than everybody else. And the Gentiles are walking away from this experience and being like, man, you would think that the people of God represent what God is like, and so this must be what God is like. Maybe God is just trying to use people. Maybe he just wants to take advantage of them. Maybe he doesn't care about them. Maybe he's just trying to control them and take from them. And Jesus, who is God, knows that this is nothing like what God is like. And he cannot say nothing. And I would say, despite how maybe some other churches feel, and maybe you've been to churches that when you walked in, it felt like they didn't want you there, that they were looking for what they could get from you or how they could control you. Like this idea that Jesus is fighting for is a core tenet of the early church ever since it gets off the ground. One of the first followers of Jesus, leaders of the church, says in the book of Acts, which is basically this history book of the first church getting off the ground, Acts 15:19, he says, we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God. In other words, he's saying we ought to remove every obstacle in the way of anyone learning about, experiencing, and following Jesus. And it's going to be tempting to stray away from this value, but this is who Jesus calls us to be. And since the very beginning of South Hills, this is the kind of church that we have set out to be. And this is why we do everything we do. This is why we do not charge tickets to come to a Sunday morning service. If somebody charged you out there, they're scalping. We don't even have tickets. I don't even know. I'm impressed that they made some. But it's wrong. It's why everybody's invited. It's why we don't have a dress code here. It's why when you come on campus, people are kind and real. It's why we serve free coffee and donuts in case you didn't get a chance to eat breakfast. We don't want you to be hangry while you're hearing a sermon. And it's not just any donuts. We taste tested. We got the good ones. It's why we teach on topics that real people are wrestling with instead of just kind of highlighting random sections of the Bible. It's why we don't use churchy language when we're talking about God. It's why I don't usually preach from a King James Bible. It's why we make church for kids fun. It's why we have a special service just for students. It's why we encourage people to get to know their neighbors and care about people who are different from them and serve them. It's why we give out free Bibles every weekend and resources for people that are struggling with different issues and basically anything else we can afford, because it is the one thing that we are passionate about here at our church, making it easy for outsiders to come in. Because we believe this is what Jesus cares about. But in this story, Jesus didn't come to our church, okay? He went into the ancient temple and he sees insiders taking advantage of outsiders, and he makes this whole scene to expose what he sees on purpose, doing this big show, making this big show of it so that everyone sort of stops and pays attention to the wrong that they've all sort of gotten used to and started to ignore. And some of you are thinking like, I'm in, I love this. I'm gonna take a baseball bat down to some certain businesses I don't like because I wanna be like Jesus. And that is a misinterpretation of what your takeaway is supposed to be here. This story is not giving you permission for vandalism. I just want to say that out loud because I've met some of you. And if you assume that, it's because there's some cultural context that you're missing here. Jesus is engaging in this long-standing Jewish tradition of something called prophetic theater. And it's where a spiritual leader or a philosopher of the day would perform a dramatic act in public to highlight injustice or critique social norms. To say, we've all gotten comfortable with this thing that we need to question because it's wrong. And everybody's ignoring it. And there are lots of examples of this in the Old and New Testament, right? If you go to the book of Isaiah, who is an Old Testament prophet, he walks naked for 3 years to demonstrate God's coming judgment. And some of you are like, I am glad that's not how we do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't like that. And I wouldn't want to be called to do that. Then there's Jeremiah, who wears a wooden yoke to illustrate that the people of God are going to be captured by this other nation and sort of enslaved to them or having to do work for them. Ezekiel, the prophet that we named our son after, ate food cooked over a poop fire to show God's disgust of the people's sin. He was wild, and we named our son accurately. Where you're like, he's right, but he got there in a weird way. In the New Testament, like one that was around during the time of Jesus, John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin, is also a prophet. He lives in the woods. He's like dirty all the time, and he eats locusts and wild honey to communicate that spiritual things are more important and should be our primary focus as opposed to just material comforts. These people are trying to get these points across in a way that would make everyone stop and pause. And when Jesus does this thing, he's participating in this tradition. And everyone around him would have understood that. They would have been like, oh, I see what you're doing. Because this is the sort of thing that people do in our culture. Now, our culture doesn't really recognize prophetic theater anymore. So if you get all fired up about something and you go to the mall with a baseball bat and you just bash up some display cases, somebody's going to catch that on video, put you on YouTube, and you are going to jail. Okay, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be some consequences. But honestly, in the Jesus story, he had consequences. The businessman that Jesus made an example of in this story, it says that they immediately began plotting to kill him. And it wasn't because they didn't like his theology. It was because he messed with their money. And that was their real God. And I would say that is still the most difficult thing for us to give God access to in our life. We're like, God, I trust you completely. And he's like, you should be generous. And you're like, I mean, not all the way completely, but a lot of my life you can have access to. I'm not really sure that I'm trusting enough to give you my PIN code, but like, I trust you with my eternity, just not with the economy. That's the thing that and this is where we sort of hold back on God, because oftentimes our priorities can get out of whack. I think sometimes when we read through these stories, at least when I do, I want to see myself in the story, but I want to believe that I'm the good guy. Sometimes when you read through stories in the Bible, you realize you're not. You're the bad guy. You're the person that Jesus is critiquing. And this is what I want to ask you this morning. Like, when you think of church, like, what is it for in your mind? Is church about what you can get as an insider or what you can give to help outsiders find a way in? Because this is the main point of tension between Jesus and the religious leaders of the day. He's like, you think it's about you making your life better and getting what you want, oftentimes by taking advantage of other people. But the only reason that like you came in was to be able to extend the grace and love and goodness that I gave you to the people around you. And you think it's all about you, but it's about you reaching out and giving to others what I've given you access to. I mean, even beyond just church, what do you think being a Christian is about? What is that about for you? Is it about appearing godly or helping others access God, even if it doesn't make you look good? These are the questions that Jesus is trying to get the people of his day, and I think our day, to wrestle with. Sometimes I think when we are reading these stories and letting them do their work on our hearts, we come to the honest admission that we are not always the people that Jesus is flipping the tables for. We're sometimes the people he's flipping them on. Because we have become the obstacle. We have become the bad example. We have become the thing that people have to overcome to get to God. And I think we can read a story like this and mistakenly think like, oh, I like this. This is my kind of Jesus. Like, I love this. Like, I can't wait to get out there and tell everybody what they're doing wrong. Just like Jesus. And I might break some things in the process. But here's something that you need to understand. And your wife has probably been trying to tell you this for years. You are not Jesus. You don't get to do all of the things that he did exactly how he did them. According to all of the New Testament in context, your responsibility is to be an example of what is right, not get revenge on those who are getting it wrong. This is what it truly is to follow Jesus. In fact, the Apostle Paul wrote this in Romans chapter 12, verse 17. Never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you're honorable. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. Never take revenge. Leave that to God. In other words, your job is to do good. God's job is to settle the score. You're to do your job and let him do his job. That's faith. We don't like that. Usually we're like, this is what I would like to do. And God is like, that is not what I recruited you for. That's my job. And you're like, I would like to apply for that job. And he's like, we are no longer taking applications. We never were, actually. And you're like, I'd like to talk to your boss. And you're like, I am the boss. And I wonder what would happen if we took this seriously. If you did the thing that God was asking you to do and let him take care of the things that frustrate you, but you cannot do much about. In fact, that's my challenge to you this week. This is the homework I want to give you, to critique something bad this week by contributing something good. In our culture, when we see something that we think is bad, and maybe God even agrees with us, we like to critique through criticism. But what we see in the scriptures is that the most powerful and profound and Christ-like way to critique is to contribute. It's through the act of creation. Before Jesus does all this, he recruits a bunch of followers and he critiques the broken system by pouring his life into a handful of followers and living out the actual way to a full life and saying, follow me, mimic me, do it this way. By the time he makes a scene to say that's the wrong way, and people are like, oh, what do we do? And he's like, do it like this. I want to invite you into something outside of this system that invites everybody in, that isn't exclusive, it's inclusive. It's a place where everybody can come and ask questions and wrestle with faith and find a God who will do anything and everything to bring the outsider in. Instead of creating barriers between us and God, Jesus comes to lay down his life. Jesus becomes the sacrificial animal, the pure thing that takes our place, the perfect thing that covers over our imperfections. And Jesus says the price has already been paid. The sacrifice has already been made. When he runs them out of the temple, he's like, you guys are about to be obsolete because of what I'm about to do, to be the once and for all sacrifice for all humankind. And now it is our job to throw open the doors and bring people in and help them see themselves the way God sees them. We are in the business of removing obstacles and pointing to Jesus. I would say the most powerful critique you could give in our current society, if there's something you don't like that you think is wrong or ungodly, create something better. Contribute to something that is good so that what is bad becomes irrelevant. You know why this church exists? Because our founder had experienced too many people being turned away from churches, not welcomed in, not understanding the gospel, not being shown a real, everyday kind of faith. You are sitting in the middle of a critique. And instead of pointing fingers about what was wrong everywhere else, he went out in faith and he created this so that you could find a place and invite everyone else in. We are sitting in the midst of creation as critique. And when you contribute to it, you build the thing that God is doing. And the bigger God's kingdom gets, the smaller everything else seems. And that's my challenge to you this week. Can I invite you to bow your heads across this room? I want to pray for you this morning. God would do this in your life. God, we live in a world where there is much that is broken, that is frustrating. God, most of us, we don't have to struggle to find something to be angry over because there is so much that angers us, that frustrates us, disappoints us. So much we think is wrong or off. But God, we are grateful that when you were your most angry, instead of taking it out on us for having sinned and done wrong, you took all of that on yourself. And you created a way for us to come to you. You created a new example of what a church could look like, of what a gathering could look like, of what Christ followers can be to each other. And God, I pray that as we look at the world around us, that we would be people who reflect you by contributing to the things that you were doing, to making the world better, to being not just angry because our own ego was offended, but that we are angry that there are people still on the outside who cannot find their way in, that we would become passionate about removing obstacles, about pushing anything and everything out of the way so that our friends and neighbors and coworkers can find you. And God, I pray that we would be your representation. And as more of us look to and lean on and follow you, may this become the definition that people think of when they think of Christian, as those willing to sacrifice anything to bring others in. May it be so. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Would you guys go ahead and stand? Sing this last song with us.
Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one on our hearts adore, singing Jesus. Jesus, we love you. Oh, how Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one our hearts adore.
Thank you. Just want to encourage you guys, if something stood out to you as you were listening to this message today, we have a prayer team over here that would love to pray with you, to support you in whatever it is that's going on in your life right now. And I want to encourage you to take advantage of that. Whoever you came with will wait for you. They're not going to leave you while you cement in what God has started in your heart today. And we also hope that you will join us back here next Sunday. We have baptisms and our Rooted celebration. It's going to be an amazing service that we get to share with all together. And before you leave, on the plaza, make sure you jump in a bounce house. Make a kid's day. Go and jump in a bounce house and have some fun. Get to know someone else. And we'll see you guys back here next Sunday.